For our Hare Krishna dear devotees, thank you all so much for joining. So we will start our Srimad Bhagavatam study. And we are on Canto 1. And today we will be covering chapter 11, 12, and 13. So yesterday we covered till chapter 10. Today we'll start with chapter 11. And Krishna willing, we'll cover 3 chapters. So let's start with our invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchatattvatakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavtaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Anandalila Maya Vigrahaya Hema Bhadevya Chavisundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Mukam karoti vācālam pangum langāyate girim yatkripaha tamham vande Shri Guru Dīnadhārinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namaha Pankajanaභaya Namaha Pankajamaline Namaha Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangrihe Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna dear devotees. So we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter number 11. So in the last chapter, that is chapter number 10, we covered that how Krishna, after performing the final rites of Bhishma Dev, after getting instructions from Bhishma Dev, and we heard about the Kunti Stuti, so finally Krishna departed for Dwarka. So we ended there, and from today onwards we'll see that how Krishna entered Dwarka. He left Hastinapur. Yudhishthir Maharaj was enthroned as the king, as an emperor, and our dear Lord Shri Krishna is entering Dwarka. So this chapter also entitled as Lord Shri Krishna's entrance to Dwarka. So as soon as the Lord, he came to Dwarka, just on the outskirts of Dwarka, he blew his conch shell. All the residents are actually, we know that they are the eternal associates of the Lord. They come here to perform the pastimes with the Supreme Lord. Now, when the Lord comes back, the natural spiritual emotions of all the Dwarkavasis were awakened in their heart because they couldn't bear the separation of the Supreme Lord, even for a moment. Why? Because of the intense affection towards the Lord. So we all know that for a long period of time, Krishna was out from Dwarka. Before that, he was in Kurukshetra war with the Pandavas. Then he spent some time in Hastinapur, and now he is returning back to Dwarka. So all the Dwarkavasis, they were already feeling intense separation from Krishna. So when they heard the Panchajanya sound, the conch sound of Krishna's conch, their hearts were very, very enlivened, because now they want to see the Lord of their life, that is Lord Shri Krishna. So when they heard this sound, it was very, very encouraging, at the same point, very, very pacifying. Why? Because they were so much dejected in the absence of Lord Shri Krishna. So all of them, they became so alert to receive the Lord. And this is the sign of spontaneous love that Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport. Prabhupada also tells that the way Krishna blew his conch, his white conch, and Krishna's lips are like bimba fruit, reddish like bimba fruit. So it was appearing as if the white swan-like conch was playing in the stems of the red lotus of Krishna's lips. So very, very poetic. In a very, very poetic way, Suta Goswami is describing this whole narration of Krishna's entering Dwarka to Suta Goswami, to all the sages of Naimisharanya. So as soon as the Lord was there, the citizens spontaneously ran to see the Lord, just to have the spontaneous love for the Lord. They want to see the Lord face to face. And when Krishna came, he entered Dwarka, it was like as if the sun has risen up in the morning. So as soon as the sun rises, what happens? The darkness gets dissipated. So similarly, as soon as Krishna entered Dwarka, the darkness of ignorance, the darkness of separation, the darkness of longingness in the heart of all the Vrajvasis finally got dissipated. And when the citizens came, they began to speak. And Prabhupada quotes that they were gad-gada, means their throat was choked up. They were not able to speak. They were so much ecstatic. And here the Lord is described as Atmaram, self-satisfied, and Purna Kamam, as fully satisfied. So Srila Prabhupada makes it a point that if everything belongs to the Lord, then what is the point of giving it back to the Lord? But it is just the mood of devotion. Example is given just like the children, how they reciprocate with their parents. On their birthdays, on their anniversaries, children make very simple, beautiful cards with their hands. The paper is financed by the parents. The colors are financed by the parents. They just draw it and they present it to the parents. The parents feel very, very happy. Similarly, although our Supreme Lord, He is Atmaram, He is Purnakam, but still He loves, as a loving Father, He loves to have reciprocation with all His devotees, just like a father loves to have the reciprocation with his child. And to fulfill that and having that desire in their heart, all the Dwarkavasis, they came and they want to speak with the Lord. So in the previous chapter, we saw that how the residents of Hastinapur, they were talking about the Lord, about his beauty, about his strength. And now it is the residents of Dwarka who are having the same mood as the mood of Hastinapur Vasis. And now they have been describing and while they are receiving the Lord. So the verdict of all the scriptures is what? Is that Krishna is the supreme. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. But here, our relation, and whatever relation is, that our relation with the Supreme Lord is also eternal. It cannot be broken. It cannot be vanquished. It can only be revived. And how can it be revived? By sadhu sangha and by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, if we follow the proper injunctions as revealed in the scriptures. So the residents of Dwarka were also conversing upon the arrival of Lord Shri Krishna. And it was a beautiful talks that they were conversing with each other. Krishna can be seen only by his pure devotees. And the residents of Dwarka were the pure devotees because they got the opportunity to see Krishna face to face. Brahma and all other demigods, they have to wait. They have to wait. It has been described that Brahma can go only up to the shore of Shvetadipa, where Shirodakshai Vishnu resides. And he can only go on to the shore, and then he has to recite some Purusha Shuktas, and then Lord Vishnu appears. But here, Dwarkavasis, being on such a pure platform, have this opportunity to see the Lord face to face. And what are they saying? They are telling Lord, oh Krishna, whenever you go to Mathura, whenever you go to Vrindavan, whenever you go to Hastinapur to meet your friends, every moment of us seems like a millions of years. And our eyes becomes useless, just like the eyes without the sun. So Prabhupada describes that if the sun is not there, then even if we have eyes, what is the use? Why? Because we are not able to see anything. We can experience that in dense darkness in the midnight. If you enter into the room, which is very, very unknown to you, and you enter into the first time and it is pitch dark, not a single flame of light or light is there, then though we have eyes and our eyes are capable to see, but still we are not able to identify the objects in that dense dark room. But the moment sun rises and the rays of sun enter into the room, everything becomes crystal clear. So similarly here also, these Dwarkavasis are expressing that, oh Krishna, when you leave us, first of all, every moment looks like as if millions of years have passed. And our eyes also become useless because we are not able to see you. So we have eyes, but it's almost like without a sun. So we should be always in the sight of Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada compares how without sun our eyes are of no use or maybe of very little use because we cannot see. We cannot see Krishna and therefore we cannot surpass Maya. Because to see Krishna, we have to surpass Maya. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Andhakar. We all know this. Jahan Krishna, wahan Maya nahi adhikar. Wherever there is Krishna, Maya doesn't have any eligibility or any strength. So they all talk about that how Krishna is all attractive and whosoever see him also gets attracted, and it is very difficult to get separated from Krishna. Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. That is our identity. We are the spark and part and parcels, like a small spark of the fire. We belong to Krishna. Yes, Krishna gives some kind of independence to the jiva, but if jiva he misuse his independence, then that jiva is known as conditioned soul. But by proper use of that independence, the jiva always gets surrendered to the Supreme Lord and is always liberated. So when one looks at the attractive face of the Lord, and when he smiles, then naturally he can vanquish all the sufferings. And that's what Krishna reciprocated. When Dwarkavasis were talking in this way and glorifying Krishna and telling their own suffering and lamentation in the absence of Krishna, Krishna just smiled. And with the beautiful smita, with the beautiful smile of Lord Sri Krishna, all the sufferings got vanquished in the hearts of Brajvasis. And as Krishna was there, even the summer season was feeling as if it's a beautiful spring season with all the beautiful flowers fully bloomed. The Lord came to the city and there was various decorations. There was a festivities, there's a mood of festivities, as if a big festival is there. And they were all festive signs were there. The entire Dwarka was decorated upon Lord's arrival. There were mango trees, plantain trees, flowers, fruits, all the auspicious signs were there. The flags were also printed with Garuda and Hanuman. And this is how they were serving while decorating the Dwarka city, because they want to please Lord Shri Krishna. Every house had different kind of things to welcome the Supreme Lord. They have an arti plate, they have an offering, they have the diyas, the lamps, welcoming the Lord, not in the Dwarka itself, but also welcoming Lord in their heart. Every house was ready to receive the Supreme Lord, and they were finally offering various food items to the Supreme Lord, and the remnants were distributed to all the citizens of Dwarka. And this is all prescribed in the Vedic literature. And as per Vedic culture, they welcome the Lord wholeheartedly. Upon hearing the Lord's approaching towards Dwarka, even the family members like Vasudev, Akrura, Ugrasen Maharaj, Balaram, Pradyumna, Charutnishna and Sambha, the sons of Lord Shri Krishna, they were all extremely happy. And they left everything, whatever they were doing, and they rushed to welcome the Supreme Lord. Whenever there is some great personality, Prabhupada says, coming the Vedic way is to receive them with so much of affection and veneration. And that's how they treated, they welcomed the Supreme Lord. Lots of Brahmanas were appointed and they were reciting verses from Vedic literature. And all this was done in proper mood of reverence and sincerity on the part of both the receiver and the received. What to talk about men? Even the ladies of Dwarka, they were from the respectable families. They also came to see the Lord. But because of being in a female body, they cannot come right in front of Lord to see him face to face. So they all went on the rooftops of their houses, just like the ladies of Hastinapur. And then they were also conversing with each other, describing the beautiful form of the Supreme Lord. The ladies seeing the beautiful form of the Lord, they were describing how they were describing. Shriyo nivaso yashara panapatram mukham drisham bhavaloka palanam sharananganam padambujam. So they are describing that Krishna has insatiable beauty. So they were describing the four aspects of Krishna: the chest, the face, the arms, and the feet. So the chest they describe, Shriyo Nevaso Yasharaho, that the Krishna's chest is adorned by the Srivatsa mark, because on Krishna's chest is the abode of Lakshmi Devi. Pana Patram Mukham Drisham. His face was a drinking vessel for the eyes. Bhavaho Lokapalanam. His arms are his resting place for the demigods. And finally, they say his feet. What are his feet? His feet is the refuge for pure devotees. Saranga means the devotees. So the pure devotees, they always take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. So that's how they are describing. The demigods, they take shelter of Krishna's arm, and they're always protected from the attacks of enemies. And Sharanaganam Padambujam, the devotees relish the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So the sense of everything is the Supreme Lord. He is called Saram. Saram means the essence. And those who sing and talk about him are known as Sarangas, or the pure devotees. And pure devotees are always thinking and hankering after the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Because the lotus, why compared as a lotus? Because lotus has a very typical kind of honey that is transcendently relished by the bumblebees. So Rupa Goswami, our great Acharya, also says, Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande, Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande, Manmanasa Madhukaram Haripaya Nijapad Pankaj Makarande, Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. What Rupa Goswami is saying, that, oh Lord, I offer my humble obeisances onto your lotus feet. Why? Because your lotus feet is like a lotus. And a lotus have a very peculiar, particular kind of a sweet nectar, honey, with which the bumblebees are so much attracted. So Rupa Goswami is saying, I am that bumblebee. So please place the bee of my heart in the honey of your lotus feet. So therefore, Prabhupada says that we are Rupanugas. We are the followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. So therefore, devotees always hanker for the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet. So finally, then it is being described, the Lord's beauty while he was walking on the road. Sitatpara Vekner Upakshataha Prashuna Vrishner Abhivarshitaha Pati Pishan Govasa Vanamalya Babhau Ghano Yatharok Dupa Chapa Vaidyate. As the Lord passed along the public roads of Dwarka, his head was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. So it has been described that white umbrella is what? It is arka. It is compared to the sun. It is compared to the sun. How he was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. Then Prashuna Varsher, a white feathers fan moved in semicircles. And that is what is Chamara. The Chamara were compared with the moon. And then it is being described that, the showers of flowers fell upon the head. The showers of flowers are compared to as the stars. His yellow garments, that is compared to the lightning. And the garlands of flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud were surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbows. The garland of flowers is compared to as rainbow. So this is how the beauty of the Lord was described by the Dwarkavasis, the women, the ladies who were talking on the rooftop of their houses. Okay, let's do the next. Now then the mothers and father were delighted, and Krishna, he paid his obeisances to Devaki and to Vasudeva, and all the other mothers who were equally affectionate to the Lord. It has been described that Vasudeva Maharaj, he has 18 wives. So Krishna equally paid obeisances to all his mothers. According to scriptures, we know that there are 7 mothers: the real mother, our mother who has given us the birth, then the wife of the spiritual master, the wife of a brahmana, cow, earth, the wife of a king, and nurse. So all of them are mothers. So the Lord also respected all his mothers, Devaki and all the other stepmothers. He sat in the laps of their mothers and they embraced the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada describes that just by embracing the Supreme Lord, the pure affection, that Vatsalya Bhav, got emerged in their heart, and the milk started spranging from their breast, overflowing from their breast. And they were so much overwhelmed with delight, and their tears were flowing from their eyes just because of affection on seeing Lord Shri Krishna. Each then comes the Krishna's wives. And Krishna entered the palaces of all his 16,108 wives he has. This is the Vaibhava potency of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada quotes from the Yajnavalkya Smriti that on instructions on how one's wife have to be when the husband is not at their home. And the queens of the Lord were always meditating on the Lord, thinking of the Lord's absence. The Lord's devotees can't even live for a moment without meditating on the Lord. And who are these queens? These queens are the expansions of Goddess of Fortune. They can never be separated from the Lord, either by their presence or by their trance. And so were the gopis of Vrindavan. They were always in thought of Lord Shri Krishna, always. And when the Lord came, they all stood up in awe and reverence. And they had a conception of a feminine shyness because they were seeing their husband after such a long time. And they have that shyness in their heart, but at the same time, they want to embrace the Supreme Lord, leaving all their shyness, but they can't because the surroundings and the environment and people, they all were acting as the stumbling blocks in their path in meeting and embracing the Supreme Lord. So what did they do? They immediately sent their sons to embrace the Supreme Lord. And this embracement is the satisfaction in the heart of all the queens because of their affection towards the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada mentions that the Lord, when they sent their sons to hug, to embrace the Supreme Lord, it is same as if they themselves were embracing the Supreme Lord, because the sons are actually the part of their mother. So this is how they will very beautifully and very emotionally, with full of shyness, they will embrace the Supreme Lord via the medium of their son. All the queens of Dwarka are the expansions of Goddess of Fortune. And we know that Goddess of Fortune is Lakshmi Devi. She is very chanchala. She cannot stay at one place. But still, she is so much attached to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu that she doesn't want to leave the lotus feet. So Lord is the supreme enjoyer, and he is he is the proprietor, he is the master. So to them, the lotus feet appear newer and newer. Yes, sometimes when we hear about Krishna Katha, we think, oh, I know this. It's been an old story. How much we can know about it. But that's not the case with the Supreme Lord. Whenever they see all the Dwarkavasis, when they were seeing the Supreme Lord, it's not that the first time they were seeing. Krishna was there in Dwarka with all of them. But now meeting Krishna after a very long time, having that interaction, that reciprocation with the Supreme Lord, it was Navam. It was newer and newer to them. And Krishna has come after killing so many demons. And Prabhupada describes that killing the demons is actually the friction that bamboos cause fire. To understand this, we have to see that, everybody is actually originally a devotee of Krishna. We have to understand this. But circumstantially, we have been covered by Maya. So somebody starts playing the role of a demon. But the original constitutional position is Jivere Swarupa Hoye Nitya Krishna Das. Everyone is eternal servant of Krishna. But being influenced of Krishna, when one gets body that is given by Maya, Then Prakriti Kriyamani Guna Karmani Sarvasha. Then one gets a particular type of body. And in that body, there is a typical type of ahankar that one's developed. And in that ahankar, one started thinking that I am the supreme, and one forgets Krishna. But actually, nobody can forget Krishna. Nobody is independent of Krishna. Just for example, Prabhupada gives the example, if there are prisoners, the criminals go to the jail, thinking themselves to be independent of the state laws, they commit some mistake and they are categorized as criminals. Now, if a criminal think, well, I don't care what the state laws are, that's not going to forgive criminal. Criminal has to agree to the state laws. Similarly, those who are defying the authorities of the Supreme Lord, they are all criminals, and then they are punished by Durga Devi. And then nobody is independent of the laws of Durga Devi. So everybody is under the obligation of the laws of Krishna. But one voluntarily accepts, then it's okay. If somebody rejects, then rejection means to be under the control of Maya. If somebody accepts, then Devi Prakriti Mashram, then they come under the Devi Prakriti because they work under the jurisdiction of Krishna. But if those who just whimsically reject the laws and want to be separate, then they act as a demon. And when they appear as demon, just like Kamsa, just like all others, like Jarasandha, who was there, because of which Krishna has to establish the entire Dwarka. It's that seems like Krishna is actually killing them. But Krishna is not killing them. It's just the bamboos that are striking together because of which the fire is being emitted. So this is the analogy that Prabhupada is telling, that Lord killing demons is actually he himself is not killing. He is just the medium. It's just the friction between the bamboos that cause fire. I hope this is clear. This has been mentioned. And then when one develops that Krishna consciousness, when one develops the devotion towards Lord Krishna, then naturally what happened? The good qualities developed. Yasyati bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver guna tatra samasta sura. One naturally develops the qualities of Krishna or the demigods. Means the good qualities will be visible in their character. So the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, appears on the planet to attract the conditioned souls, to become his eternal servitors, friends, parents, and lovers in the transcendental world. But when he reestablished this connection through the mercy of bona fide acharyas or the Vaishnavas, and reading bona fide scriptures, serving deities, serving the temple, or eating Krishna Prasad, then we are transferred back to the transcendental world after leaving this material body. And that's what Krishna comes for. So then somebody may ask, why 16,108 queens for the Lord? Because Lord appeared by his internal potency, his queens. Now someone can ask, people do argue, why 16,108 wives? Well, we have to understand that Lord is Atmaram. He is self-sufficient. And because these great devotees sometimes want to have relationship with the Lord as their husband, the Lord reciprocates them, and out of love and out of affection. It's been explained in Brahma Samhita also that when one serves the Lord with unalloyed affection, premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achinta gunan sarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So smearing the eyes with the ointment of love of Krishna, we can see Krishna with these eyes when it is anointed with that particular medicine that is Krishna Prem. Then we can see Krishna. We can have Krishna as Shama Sundara, who is Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya, who blemishes even the beauty of hundreds and millions of cupids. That's how beautiful our Shama Sundar is. So he doesn't have any material qualities. He just reciprocates with the devotees who want Krishna in a particular rasa. But Krishna is not lusty. He is not attached or affected. He is unattached. He is unaffected by matter. Lord is unaffected by gunas. But the queens, they thought that Krishna is controlled by their love. And in this regard, there is a very famous verse that has been quoted. Let me pull out that verse. Give me 1 minute. Yeah. The Lord senses it cannot be agitated by the feminine attributes of the queen. Some may say that Krishna has 16,108 wives. That doesn't mean that Krishna is lusty. Krishna only reciprocates with the devotees. Those devotees who have the ointment of Premanjana, who have the ointment, Anjana means the kajal, who have that ointment of Prema, who sees Krishna with that eyes, and then Krishna reciprocates. But Krishna is not agitated by the feminine attributes of the queens. It's not that Krishna is lusty and he wants to enjoy, and that's why he has 16,108 wives. Sutta Goswami quotes, Uddhama bhava pishuna malaval guhasa vridavaloka nihato madano piyasa sammuya chapamajaha pramado tamasta yasendriyam vimatitum kuhakirna sheku. The queens cannot satisfy the Lord by their feminine attractiveness, but they satisfied him by their unalloyed transcendental loving service and affection. Thus the Lord was pleased to treat them as his wives in reciprocation. So this is how the Supreme Lord, because he is completely unattached and unaffected by matter. Now, someone may thought that through the Lord's pastimes with women are non-material. He still appeared in the material Yadu dynasty, in the material world with material objects and demons. We are also material. Therefore, he must have associated with gunas. Well, it has been explained that the Lord is also unaffected by the gunas. So this was the simple mood of all the queens of Dwarka, where they think that they can truly bring Krishna under control. They were unaware of the extent of his glories, as an atheist cannot understand the Lord through his intelligence. So they thinking that we can control the Supreme Lord, but our Supreme Lord is Atmaram. If he reciprocates, that doesn't mean that he has become or come under one's control. So this is how our Supreme Lord was treated in Dwarka. Now we come to the chapter number 12, which is entitled Birth of Emperor Parikshit. Remember, in chapter 4, Shaunaka Rishi asked Sutta Goswami next 3 sets of questions. Question about the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Bhagavatam came into being, and we have discussed that how Vyasadeva was feeling despondent and Narad Muni came and told him to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Then comes the question about Sukadeva Goswami meeting Parikshit Maharaj and how he went to Hastinapur. That will be described later. But right now, the third question that is being answered by Sutta Goswami about questions about Parikshit Maharaj's birth, his activities, and his renunciation. So we'll move on to chapter number 4, or chapter number 12, which begins that when everybody heard, all the sages of Naimisharanya, when they heard that Parikshit Maharaj was saved from the Brahmastra, they said that we want to hear more. They said that we want to hear more about Parikshit Maharaj. That how was Parikshit Maharaj saved? Okay, Ashwathama shot and Brahmastra. But how he was saved and why was Parikshit Maharaj cursed? So Prabhupada quotes actually Shravanam and Kirtanam. These are the main important limbs of Navavidha Bhakti. We know there are 9 limbs. Out of these 9 limbs, the 2 are very important. That is Shravanam and Kirtanam. But how these Shravanam and Kirtanam has to be performed? This Shravanam and Kirtanam is not supposed to be performed whimsically. One has to be very attentive when one is hearing. One should have respect to the speaker. How Parikshit Maharaj so ardently he was hearing from Sukadev Goswami. One has to be very sincere in their hearing and in their speaking. So this way this chapter starts, and when these questions were put forward, so Suta Goswami said, I am going to first describe you about Yudhishthir Maharaj. He said, how Yudhishthir Maharaj was, I want to describe from there, and then from there I'll take you to the birth of Parikshit Maharaj. So then, describing about Yudhishthir Maharaj, Suta Goswami described the 5 qualities of Yudhishthir Maharaj. First is that he was Dharmaraj. He was Dharmaraj Putra, right? He is Pitravat. He ruled like his own father, like his father Pandu. Ranjayan Prajaha. He ruled very pleasing. He was very, very pleasing to his citizens, to his people. He had no interest in the self-satisfaction. And Krishna Padanushva Sevaya. That means he always does everything that satisfies the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And just like Yudhishthir Maharaj or Arjuna, they were also known as Raj Rishis. So what is the meaning of Raj Rishi? Raja means king and Rishi means a saint. So they were great rishis, but they were also very, very saintly. So when the king is very, very saintly, naturally the citizens are very, very happy. So these were the kings who were known as Raj Rishis, like Chanak Maharaj, Tashrat Maharaj, Lord Ramchandra, definitely he is the Supreme Lord, Yudhishthir Maharaj. They all were like Parikshit Maharaj. They were like Raj Rishis, because whenever they rule, they keep Krishna always in the center. And in the Bengali, there is a very famous proverb, Raja Papi, Raja Nashta, Grini Doshi, Grahastha Brasta. It says that in Grahastha life, in a household life, if the wife is not good, Grihini Doshi. Grihini means the wife. If she is doshi, if she is not good, then Grahastha Brashta. Then the Grahastha life become a Brashta life. Then nobody will be happy. Similarly, Raja Papi, Raja Nashta. Similarly, if the kingdom has some impious king, then everyone and everything will be finished. Everyone will suffer and everything will be finished. So the king has to be very, very saintly in order for the citizens to be very, very happy. In the future cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, I think so in 3rd or 4th canto, it's 4th canto, I think so, it's been described about King Vena, who was very, very sinful, very, very sinful. So therefore, the citizens suffer a lot. So king should be very, very pious for the citizen, very, very devotional, very, very pious as well as very, very devotional. Only then the citizens will be happy. And same was Yudhishthir Maharaj. He was very pious, he was very virtuous, and apart from that, he was a very great devotee of the Supreme Lord. And not only that, even Narad Muni used to visit frequently in the assembly of Yudhishthir Maharaj. So we see that how he was very opulent, he was as also detached. Why? Because he was absorbed in Lord's service. So then what happened? I'm sorry. Yeah. So then what happened that when Parikshit Maharaj, he was in the womb of Uttara, at that time, Suta Goswami narrates that the Lord saved Parikshit Maharaj by entering into the womb of Uttara. And at that time, the Supreme Lord was only a thumb size, it is being described. Angushtamatram amalam spurat purata maulinam avipya darshanam shamam tadid vashanam achyutam. He, the Lord, was only thumb size, but he was very transcendental. He had a very beautiful blackish infallible body, and he wore a dress of a lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. Thus he was seen by the child. So the child in the womb of Uttara, when was attacked by Brahmastra, which was shot by Ashwathama, the Supreme Lord himself came, entered in the womb of Uttara in the size of a thumb and saved Parikshit Maharaj from that Brahmastra. The Lord was enriched with 4 hands and earrings of molten gold, and eyes were blood red with fury. As he loitered about, his club constantly encircled him like a shooting star. So you can see the picture that how the Lord encircled that baby in the womb of Uttara as like a shooting star. So this way, Parikshit Maharaj was protected. But when the boy came out, he used to carefully look with great observation how he was protected and who was his protector. And this was the reason that he got the name Parikshit. Parikshit means to examine, Pariksha Lena. Right? What are the 5 qualities of Yudhishthir? Okay, I can go again. The 5 qualities of Yudhishthir is being described that first he was Dharmaraj. It's in text number 4. Chapter 12, text number 4, you can refer. It's been described. He was Dharmaraj, he was Pitravat, he was Ranjan Prajaha, he was Nishprashaha Sarva Kamebhya, and he was Krishna Padanush Sevaya. These are the 5 qualities of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Hope that helps. So through that, our Parikshit Maharaj was saved and he got the name Parikshit. So he was a great fighter, and he was always looking for his protector, and therefore he's known as Parikshit. So as Parikshit Maharaj was a great devotee of the Lord also showed himself and also covered the vision of Parikshit Maharaj. This is also true. So Lord vanquished Brahmastra as the sun evaporates the dew. This is the example that is being given. That just like the sun evaporates the dew drops which are there on the petals, similarly, the Lord protected Parikshit Maharaj from that Brahmastra. Then it is being mentioned that why the child Parikshit was saved. The 2 reasons are being given. First reason is that he was the unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Lord. And second, that he was the only male descendant of the Kuru dynasty. And Krishna wants that the Rajarishis should rule because he comes to establish dharma. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. That is one of the reasons why Krishna descends. So he wants to continue with the legacy of the Pandavas who were like Rajarishis, and therefore the Krishna came inside the womb of Uttara and protected Parikshit Maharaj. So later, then Yudhishthir Maharaj, when Parikshit was born, at that time Yudhishthir Maharaj through a very great ceremony, and there he called all the Brahmanas and asked for the predictions of the qualities of Parikshit Maharaj. As we all know that when the child is born, normally the astrological chart is being checked. So same here, Yudhishthir Maharaj, he called upon a lot of Brahmanas and he inquired from them that how the Parikshit Maharaj will be. So there it is being described. Favorable signs were described, and for this reason, the child will be well known in the world as one of the protected by the Supreme Lord. O most fortunate one, there is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee and will be qualified with good qualities. But when Yudhishthira Maharaj asked if he would follow in the footsteps of the saintly kings of the dynasty, then the Brahmanas started comparing Parikshit Maharaj qualities. And they said, like maintenance, he'll be like Manu, Ishwaku. Following principles, Brahmanical principles, true to his promise, he will be like Lord Ram. For charity and protecting the surrendered, he'll be like King Shibhi. For spread the name and fame of family, he'll be like Dushyant. Among bowmen, he'll be Arjun. Among irresistible, he'll be like fire. As an unsurpassable, he'll be like ocean. As for the strength will be concerned, he'll be like a lion, Simha. As worthy of shelter, he'll be like Himalayas. As for bearing, he'll be like earth. As tolerant, he'll be like his own parents who have gone through so much, but still were tolerant. As an equanimity of mind, he'll be like Brahma. He'll be as munificent as Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is also known as Ashutosh, who is pleased very easily. As resort of all, he'll be like Lord Narayan. As following in his footsteps, he will be like Lord Krishna. In magnanimity, he'll be like Ranti Deva. In religion, he'll be like Maharaj Yayati. In patience, he'll be like Bali Maharaj. And in staunch devotee of Krishna, like Prahlad Maharaj. So these were the qualities that were described by the Brahmanas when they came and Yudhishthira Maharaj asked about them. So finally, Yudhishthira Maharaj, when they all told everything, then they also said that the child will also be like the father of Rajarishis. He would be the chastiser of the quarrelsome and the upstarts who will be for the sake of world peace and religion. And then they gave the 4 symptoms of Kali: the wine, woman, gambling, and slaughterhouses. Means where the intoxication happens, where the illicit relationship happens, where the gambling takes place, and where the meat eating takes place. Kali will be there, but your son, Parikshit Maharaj, will meet Kali, and he will not kill Kali, rather he will give Kali these 4 places. But then some unfortunate condition or circumstances will be thrown upon, because of which Parikshit Maharaj in future will be cursed, and he will be leaving his body in 7 days. He'll be renouncing at that time. Whenever he'll come to know that he is about to leave his body, he'll renounce all his material attachments and he will completely take shelter of Krishna. And he will hear the entire Srimad Bhagavatam from a bona fide source like Sukdev Goswami, who is son of Vyasadeva. So all these things were informed to Yudhishthira Maharaj when Parikshit Maharaj took birth. Everything was told to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he was informed by these Brahmanas, he was happy. At the same time, he was little morose because he came to know that how Parikshit Maharaj will die. But then, taking it as to be the will of the providence, he fed the Brahmanas very nicely. He gave nice remuneration to the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas departed. Later, Yudhishthira Maharaj performed Ashwamedha Yagya. Okay, I'm so sorry. I didn't even show you this slide and I covered it. So he grew up under the care, Parikshit Maharaj grew up under the care of his grandfathers. Yudhishthira wanted to perform Ashwamedha Yagya to get rid of the sins, because still Yudhishthira Maharaj was feeling in his heart that he has committed that grave sin by killing his own relatives in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So he wanted to perform Ashwamedha Yagya, but at that time the wealth was supposed to be needed and everything was exhausted in that battle that was performed. So at that time, the Pandavas, on the advice of the Lord, they went to Maharaj Maruta's province. There they went somewhere in the Himalayas where there were heaps of unclaimed gold, and they collected everything, and Yudhishthira Maharaj finally performed his Ashwamedha Yagya. And he performed with the assembly of qualified Brahmanas. The Lord stayed there for some time in Hastinapur with Yudhishthir Maharaj, and then he departed with Arjuna and Yadus. So Lord departed for Dwarka. So there we ended chapter number 12. Now comes the chapter number 13, that is Dhritarashtra quits home. So we still have half an hour. Hopefully we'll cover. So then what happened is Vidura, now there is a conversation that how Vidura got knowledge from Maitreya Rishi. Because remember, in the Kurukshetra war, Vidura was not present. He went on the pilgrimage yatra, and there he met Maitreya Rishi during his pilgrimage. And there he came to know the laws of karma, that how the laws of karma are so intricate that whatever we do, there is some kind of repercussion to it, some kind of reaction to it. So this way, Vidura was very much wonderfully guided by a spiritual master, Maitreya Muni. And there he got that the ultimate goal of life is to perform bhakti. Bhakti to Lord Shri Krishna, bhakti to Govinda. So then what happens is that Yudhishthir Maharaj, coming back to the scene where Yudhishthir Maharaj performed his yajna and everybody departed, he was enthroned as an emperor. He took care of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj grew very well in the hands of his fathers. So Yudhishthir Maharaj takes care of everyone so dearly, that even the enemy, if he comes, still Yudhishthir Maharaj will be very, very nice to them. Therefore, the another name of Yudhishthir Maharaj is Ajat Shatru, who doesn't have any enemy. So one day what happened after this, when Yudhishthir Maharaj was ruling, one day Mahatma Vidur, he came from his pilgrimage yatra. So Vidura, he returned from his pilgrimage, learning from Uddhava and Maitreya Muni. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, he came. Mahatma Vidur, he came. And as Yudhishthir Maharaj saw him, he very nicely, very warmly, he welcomed him and he asked his questions. Some questions Yudhishthir Maharaj asked. He offered his respect, expressed his gratitude, and finally he inquired. That how did you maintain your life while you were in the pilgrimage yatra? Who were the saintly people whom you met? And then in glorification of Maharaj Vidur, Mahatma Vidur, he quotes, Bhavadvida Bhagavata Stirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Swantasthena Gadabrita. He said, my Lord, he is addressing to Vidur Maharaj. He said, my Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Why? Because you carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your heart. And when you carry the Lord in your heart, you turn all places into the places of pilgrimage. See here, dear devotees, it's a very important point. When we also go for any pilgrimage yatra, we just don't go to bathe in some holy river, to visit some temples. Of course, these are the reasons, some of the external reasons of our visiting to pilgrimage, to go to Dham. But the real purpose of going to Dham should be to sit near some sadhu, near some pure devotees and hear from them. Why so? Because the pure devotees carries Krishna in their heart. Krishna, it's Govinda Vishram. Krishna takes rest in the heart of his pure devotees. So when these pure devotees, they carry Krishna, and when they speak, and when we hear those Vani, then is the actual transformation that happens in the heart, which also fulfills the real purpose of our going to Dham. So here, Yudhishthir Maharaj is saying that you pure devotees like yourself, they are themselves like tirthas. Because going to Tirtha is to hear from the pure devotees. And if the pure devotees are coming out from the Dham and distributing their knowledge, then that is just like visiting some Dham or visiting some pilgrimage. So he is saying, Bhavad Vidha Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho. You yourself are like holy place personified. Why? Because you carry the Supreme Lord in your heart. And therefore, whichever place you go, because of the katha that you share, because of the realizations that you share, because Krishna taking shelter in your heart, you convert that place also into the place of pilgrimage. So this way Yudhishthir Maharaj was glorifying. And this is what we also have to understand. Yes, going to Dham is very, very important. But if we are, wherever we are, if we come in contact with the pure sadhus and we lend our ears to them, hear from them, then it is just like going and visiting Dham. Because for what are we going for Dham? We are not going Dham just to bathe in some river, holy river. We are not going Dham just to visit some temples. Of course, they are important. But the real purpose of going Dham is to hear Krishna Katha. Our Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur always used to say, there is a very famous pastime I remember in this regard, that when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was giving a Bhagavatam class, and at that time, the curtain was closed, but suddenly the curtains got opened in the temple, in the mud. And one person came and he stood up from the Bhagavatam class and he went straight in the front of the altar to see the Supreme Lord. And as soon as he saw the Supreme Lord, he just saw it, he came back and he sat again in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur immediately asked him, so how was your eye exercise? See, the point is that he's not defaming of seeing the Supreme Lord on the altar or in the temple, but he wants to point out that when a pure devotee like myself is giving Srimad Bhagavatam class, then what was your need to get up from Bhagavatam class and see the Lord? Do you think that you have the eyes to see the Supreme Lord? No, but after hearing from a pure devotee, you can see the Supreme Lord, not through your eyes, but through your ears. Therefore, whenever we go to Dham, this is a caution that don't see Dham with your eyes, because if we see the eyes, we will see only contamination, because our eyes are contaminated. If you wear red glasses, then you'll see everything red. If you wear green glasses, you'll see everything green. Similarly, if we see Dham with our contaminated eyes, then we'll see only contamination. Therefore, we should see Dham through our ears. We should hear from the pure devotees how Dham is, how Krishna and Radharani used to frolic in the streets of Vrindavan, how he used to frolic with his cowherd boys, how he used to meet Srimati Radharani, how he used to joke around with all the Sakhis and Sakhas. When we hear all these pastimes, then we realize what Dham is, what the potency of Dham is. And then Dham reveals itself to us. So we understand Krishna when Krishna reveals. We understand the potency of Dham when Dham reveals to us. So this is very, very important. So this way, Yudhishthir Maharaj was asking Vidura, I'm sorry, I took a little more time in this verse, but it's a very, very important verse. So then he was asking about Mahatma Vidur, about his visit to Dwarka. He asked, okay, you must have gone to Dwarka also. How are the Yadus? How is Lord Shri Krishna? Then Mahatma Vidur, he knows everything. But a devotee is such who doesn't speak unpalatable truth. He doesn't want to speak anything that could agitate somebody else. And therefore, Mahatma Vidur purposely refrained to disclose the unpalatable news that Yadu dynasty is annihilated. He doesn't tell anything to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Then it's been mentioned that Yudhishthira Maharaj asked Vidur about his purpose and how he came. Then Vidur Maharaj only purpose to coming to Hastinapur, to coming to Yudhishthira Maharaj, was to rectify his elder brother Dhritarashtra. Vidura, he got spiritual enlightenment from Maitreya Rishi, right? So he wanted that all things to be told to Dhritarashtra, and therefore he decided to come here. And he finally gave two instructions to Dhritarashtra. The first instruction, he said, that renounce the world for spiritual enlightenment. And then he said that he was actually the one of the Mahajan. He was Yamaraj. Vidur was Yamaraj. Yamaraj was cursed. That's why he took birth as the son of a maidservant, as Vidura. And it's a duty of Mahajan to preach the cult of devotion to the entire world. So he straight away went to Dhritarashtra and he said, no one can defeat or overcome insurmountable time. Our duration of time is very limited. It's measured. No one can enhance it even for a second. Even for a second, we cannot live longer. Everything is already being destined and ordained by the supreme will of the Supreme Lord. And every second of human form of life that we have got is to make the ultimate solution of our problems. Our problems is not the problems we see in this material world. Our problem, the biggest problem, is birth and death, because of which we have to face old age and disease. So one has to get rid from this cycle of birth and death and should take ultimate shelter of Mukunda, of the Supreme Lord. This way, Vidura was chastising Dhritarashtra, and he was saying, "O king, you are so intelligent. Please get out of this immediately. Why? For what have you been staying here? Has a fear of death been already overtaken you? You should just get out of any kind of fearful situation and take shelter of Mukunda. As Krishna is coming in the form of death, Krishna is the Kal, and no one can influence time." So he goes on chastising Dhritarashtra that you are living like a life of a household dog. You are just accepting the remnants of the food that is given by Bhima. He specifically called out the word Bhima because Bhima was the one who was responsible for the killing of all 100 children of Dhritarashtra. So he said, he's the one who killed all your sons and now you are on his food. For what purpose? Why have you become so fearful? Dhritarashtra wanted to continue his comfortable life even at the risk of humiliation. But here the pure sadhu like Vidura, like a Mahajan, he comes and he shakes, Dhritarashtra, and he says, come on, enough. Please get out, leave it, immediately leave this. This Dhritarashtra, he told that you yourself have insulted Draupadi. When Draupadi was attempted to be misrobed in your assembly, at that time you didn't even speak a word. Despite of your unwillingness, everything happened. And now here you are living at the cost of your same honor and prestige that you were carrying in that assembly. So he says, your body is like an old garment. It will dwindle. It will be deteriorated. Don't be miser. Like a miser person, they hold on to their possessions, thinking their possessions, and they want to hold on to it. So Vidura said, don't hold on to it. Don't be miser. Don't hold on to your body. It will dwindle and it will deteriorate one day. So this way, Vidura was chastising Dhritarashtra, and he said, please become Dhira. Become Dhira. Dhira is the one who controls, who's very tolerant and wants to rest and take shelter of one place, especially at the time of death. So Vidura, when he was chastising, he said, now you what? So Dhritarashtra basically asked, okay, what should I do? Then he said, you become Dhira, be undisturbed. And then after becoming Dhira, like a saintly person, then you become Narottama. You become a first-class man who awakens and understands for what purpose I am here. Who am I? What is the purpose of my life? Who is the Supreme Lord? What is my relationship with the Supreme Lord? All these questions are by Narottama, by a first-class devotee, for a first-class person. And then you fully depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vidura is advising Dhritarashtra to become Dhira at least, and then gradually rise to the platform of condition of becoming a Narottama. Dhritarashtra, although a failure throughout his life, he achieved success at the end of his life. Why? Because a pure devotee like Vidura instructed him in the science of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koe. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So this way, because of that Lava Matra, only a moment of association of Vidura, the life of Dhritarashtra changed, who was failure through the entire life, got success in the last phase of his life. So this is what then finally Dhritarashtra understood. Dhritarashtra, after being advised by Vidura, what he did, that he said, okay, I follow what you say. And he immediately left the palace of Yudhishthira Maharaj and he started walking towards north. Prabhupada explains that why he was walking for north, because he was going towards Himalayas, towards north. And this is what the Ekadanda sannyasis and the Tridandi sannyasis, the difference. The Ekadanda sannyasis are the Mayavadis. Now, he is not acting as a sannyasi, but because he is not on a pure platform where he wants to go to Vrindavan, so he wants to attain through a proper process, and therefore he started walking towards north, towards the Himalayas. So he wants to follow the advice of Vidura, that at least come to the level of Dhira, and then you can become Narottama, then you can become a devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. If a devotee been advised to leave the home, the devotee, the only thought will come of going to Vrindavan or going to Navadvip or going to Kurukshetram Kshetra. So because they want to go to Dham, but the yogis, those who want to attain through some kind of perfection, they always walk towards the north. And that's what Dhritarashtra followed, because he said it will be very difficult for him to come onto the stage of Narottama. So at least let me become Dhira. And he started walking towards north. And at that time, the Gandhari, who was a very chaste woman, also followed her husband, seeing her husband going towards north. Now then what happened? Yudhishthira Maharaj. Later what happened is that, chaste Gandhari also left with him. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj came to know. Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is Ajata Shatru, who is very, very dear to everyone. He doesn't even consider Dhritarashtra to be his enemy. He remembered that how Dhritarashtra has taken very well care of them when they were fatherless in their childhood. So now he's thinking in return that how Yudhishthira Maharaj was cursing himself, that how he was ungrateful. He killed all his sons and grandsons. So this is the nature of a Vaishnava. They are paradukha dukhi. So Yudhishthira Maharaj finally discovers that they have departed. As soon as he came to know, after performing his morning duty, when Yudhishthira Maharaj came to pay respect as a usual routine to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, he couldn't find his uncles. He not even found Vidura. Nobody, not even Dhritarashtra, not even Vidura, not even Gandhari. And he was very anxious. Where they have gone? He immediately went to Sanjaya, who was the chariot driver of Dhritarashtra, who narrated the entire Srimad Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. He went immediately and he asked, where is my old and blind uncle and aunt? Where is my aunt? Where is my uncle Vidura? Where is my mother Gandhari? Did Dhritarashtra and his wife drown themselves in the Ganga due to my offenses of killing their sons? I'm so ungrateful. When our father departed, these two uncles protected us from all kinds of calamities. And here I am, so ungrateful, and being the reason of their son's death. Sanjaya said that even he didn't know where they have left, and he was very grief-stricken. He felt that he was being cheated by the great souls, because he felt that if Dhritarashtra has left, he would have taken with Sanjaya also with him. But nobody informed him. So Sanjaya thought that he is also being cheated by these great souls. So this way, Yudhishthir Maharaj also didn't know where they have left. And at that time, Narad Muni arrives in the scene. So Narad Muni, when he arrived, he came to know that Yudhishthir Maharaj was grief-stricken, thinking about his two uncles and aunt. And then Narad Muni said, then as soon as Yudhishthir Maharaj saw Narad Muni, he immediately stood up and welcomed Narad Muni. And he said, "Oh Narad Muni, you are Karnadhara. You are the captain of the ship. You are Paradarshaka. You know you are a pure devotee of the Lord. And you can help me to get rid from the misery of this cycle of birth and death. I am in a situation where I don't know." Then he quotes the two key points. I think so. I have not mentioned it. Okay, sorry. I didn't mention those two key points, but let me mention here. So he said two key points, that how the cow is bound through the nose by a long rope, so the living entities are also being conditioned. And how Krishna can give or take away all the opulence out of his own free will to help the conditioned soul to advance in bhakti. So this is how Narad Muni points out, and he said, don't worry. Don't worry. When we think of the kith and kin and become helpless and dependent, it is all due to our own ignorance. Your uncle and aunt were old enough, and don't worry about their protection. The Lord is there to protect everybody, because the Lord is known as Bhuta Bhrit. Bhuta Bhrit means one who gives protection to all the living beings. Narad Muni says that they are always under the serpent of Kal, that is time. And that time is Krishna. He is going to protect your uncle and aunt. And the best remedy to move out from the cycle of birth and death is to take complete shelter of Krishna. Then Yudhishthir Maharaj has this thought that how will my uncle and aunt, they will survive? What will they eat? And then Narad Muni says that who feeds them in the forest? The animals are there in the forest. Jivo jivasya jivanam. The Lord has arranged the food cycle. The bigger animals, they feed upon the lower animals, and in this way they survive. So you should not worry. When the animals are taken care by the Supreme Lord, the needs of your uncle and aunt will also be taken by the Supreme Lord. He is residing as Paramatma in the heart of everybody, and each and every living entity is maintained by that Supreme Lord. So patiently follow his plan. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Kala karma gunadhino dehoyam pancha bhautika katham anyastu gopayat sarpa grasto yathaparam. This gross material body is made up of 5 elements, which is always under the control of eternal time, that is Kala, and the modes of material nature, Guna, and the action, Karma. How can it be being freed from the jaws of the serpent, protect others. Lord provides for everybody maintenance, including your Dhritarashtra. Those who are devoid, this is the verse, those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those who are devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged, the weak and the substance of the strong. And the general rule holds that one living being is food for another, because the Lord is Bhutabhrit. So understand his mission and follow his plan. Lord completed his duties. Wait till he is here. So then he said, now don't worry, the Lord is there. Then he prohibited Yudhishthira Maharaj. Now after hearing that your Dhritarashtra, your uncle Vidura, Dhritarashtra, and your aunt Gandhari has left, now don't think that you will go and follow them. Don't go from one place to another in search of your uncle. Just stay in your place. Rule as an emperor. He further said, don't worry. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj could ask, okay, I'll not worry for them. But then what will happen when the time will come that they die? Who will do their final rites? Then Narad Muni said, well, don't worry about their funeral ceremony also. Then Narad Muni actually disclosed this to Yudhishthira Maharaj, that nothing will happen. You don't even worry about the funeral ceremony of your uncle. Why? Because Dhritarashtra, what process of yoga he is following, what will happen, that the fire will emerge from his body and his entire body will be burned into ashes through his mystic power. So you don't have to perform your final rites also for your uncle Dhritarashtra. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj might ask, okay, then what about my aunt Gandhari? She is in a lady, she is in a body of a female. She is not going to practice all those mystic powers or those mystic yogas. And then with Narad Muni told, don't worry about Gandhari also. She is a very chaste lady. Following Sati, being a Sati, she will enter in the fire of her husband. So as soon as Dhritarashtra will be, he will enter into the funeral, he will enter into the fire that will be created by his own mystic power. Gandhari, being a chaste woman, will perform Sati and will enter into the same fire of her husband. And Vidura, he will be very astonished to see his brother leave the body. And Vidura, being very sorry, he couldn't make his brother a pure devotee, then who was very materialistic and mortified by the death of his brother and sister-in-law, he will further travel to other places of pilgrimage. So don't worry, and don't go behind them, don't do anything. And in this way, Narad Muni instructed Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Yudhishthira Maharaj kept the instruction of Narad Muni in his heart, and finally, and he became freed from all kind of lamentation, and Narad Muni ascended, to his abode. So with this, we will end. So we have almost 8 o'clock, 1.5 hours. We have completed the entire 3 chapters. So thank you all so much for your patient listening. And I hope I was able to make some sense from these 3 chapters. If we can take up some realizations, some questions, maybe 5-10 minutes, then please go ahead. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Yes, Alvani Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you for the class. It's really nice. I have this question here. Like, Dhritarashtra, he didn't become a Narottam. Like, he didn't become.
No.
So he's not a Krishna devotee. He just.
No.
So what happened? Like, he just practiced Ashtanga yoga and something.
Yeah, Ashtanga yoga he performed, and finally it is being described that he got Sayujya Mukti. He didn't become a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord.
So which loka did he go? Like, I mean, after his death.
Sure. Let me see. Last name, Mataji, do you want to comment on this, where Dhritarashtra went?
Yes, Mataji, like you said, it's a Sayujya Mukti, which means impersonal liberation, Brahmajo.
Yeah, so same. Yes, Mataji. It's just the Brahma Jyoti he went.
Okay. Another question is, when Yudhishthir Maharaj asked Sanjaya, where's my uncle, my aunts, and Vidura uncle, and why Sanjaya couldn't see the future? Because he could see the future, right? Like,
Why couldn't? Because Sanjay was gifted that divine eyes by Vyasadev only for that limited time period.
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was only for the Mahabharat battle, the entire battle, he said that you will be gifted that divine eyes. After the battle was over, the divine eyes was taken away, was retracted.
So it's just like temporary, that divine
Temporary.
eye.
It was only for a certain time period that was he was gifted.
And one more thing is like when they walk to the north, to the Himalayas with his wife, like they were guided by Vidura, like Vidura with
Yeah, they were
them.
guided by Vidura because Vidura told them that ultimately you have to become Narottam. But till the time you become Narottam, till the time you 100% surrender unto the will of the Supreme Lord, at least perform some yoga practices so that you can control your mind, perform some asanas, control your mind, control your senses, be steady, come to the level of dhira. At least you become a dhira. You become steady in your services. So Dhritarashtra also thought that for him right now it will be very difficult for him becoming a Narottama. So because he has seen Krishna throughout his life and still that surrenderance was not there from his heart. So he understood the message of Vidura, but he don't want to follow it completely. So he said, okay, Narottama stage may come later, but let me just at least be steady in my services. So he started walking towards the north to perform some yoga, mystic yoga practices. But there itself, he left his body. And therefore, in this chapter, it is being mentioned that Vidura was very saddened because he couldn't make Dhritarashtra the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. So he was very saddened because before becoming a devotee, he left his body.
But it's also interesting that even his old age, that he can do all the Astanga.
Yeah, he did
To the
it.
Lord, because usually people are old, they just like, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. Preeti Vilasni Mataji was saying something.
Yeah, I just wanted, I remember this also, that it is mentioned that he was an aparadi, right? Like he had devotees, so it was not possible for him to attain prema. That is the reason he only received Sayuji.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Is it okay, Alvani Mataji?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just have this thing, the 5 quality of Yudhishthira. I'm on the chapter 11, text 4. I know Dharma Raj is the first one, and what is the second? And then could you please repeat that part again? I just want to write it down.
Sure. I can share you the verse if you want.
Yeah, if you could type it or you want to say it, it's be nice.
Okay. Let me.
So Dharmaraj means honesty or righteousness.
Dharmaraj is the son of Yamaraj. Yeah, that shows his honesty. Yes.
Okay.
Let me share it. So that is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter number 12. Can you see, Mataji?
Yes.
The verse? So this is Canto 1, chapter 12, verse number 4. Suta vacha apipala dharma raja pipradat rajanam praja nishpraha sarva kamebhya Krishna padanusevaya. Suta Goswami said that he is apipala, administered prosperity. He was the son. He is the Dharmaraj. He is King Yudhishthir. He is Pitravat, exactly like his father. He is Ranjayan. He is very pleasing to his citizens. Ranjayan Prajaha, those who take birth. He means his citizens. Nishpraha, without any personal ambition, and kamebhya from sense gratification, and finally, Krishna Pada Anusevya by dint of rendering continuous service. Suta Goswami said, Emperor Yudhishthir Maharaj administered generously to everyone during his reign. He was exactly like his father. He has no personal ambition. He was freed from all sorts of sense gratification. And then he continuously served the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So these are the 5 qualities. Hope that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your attention and dedication. Okay, anything else? Yes, Praladananda Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to you, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mataji. This was an excellent discourse. And I have a little reflection regarding Dhritarashtra leaving his home at the end of his life. I'm approaching the end of my life too. And I was wondering that, how should I do in my last years left life. I had asked this question, and also I had realized what Rushabdev Maharaj was teaching his 100 sons. That's where he said that Yeva Mayise Kruta Saurudartha Janesu Deham Bharvartikesu Gruhesu Jaya Atmaja Ratisu Na Priti Yukta Yavad Arthas Chaloke. So this slok is so important for a person's life when he has to end his life before leaving this body. He has to live in such a way that he's not attached to this material attachment which he has been throughout the life. So Rushabdev Maharaj says, Yeva Maise Krutu Sauhrudata. Those who have developed little bit Sauhard for me, Vasudev, he's Vasudev. So he says, anyone who has developed love for Lord Shri Krishna, how does he behave with people in general? Janesu Dehambar Vartikesu. Those who are talking Gramya Katha all the time, and people in general, Srila Prabhupada says the most dangerous enemy of a devotee is a common man on the street. He has no idea whatsoever that he is a spirit soul. So, with these people, you do not associate with them. That's Janesu Dehambar Vartikesu. And then Gruhesu. Gruhesu, at the home, how does he behave? Well, first thing is the woman, the wife. And then Atmaja, all the daughters and sons, and then the money. How do I detach with them? Then he says, no, just like Narottam Das, Gure Thakur,
Thakur. Yeah.
So, he says, just like mothers cook dal, and they put little salt in that, exact balanced salt, not much, not less. Similarly, a person in his fag end of his life should attach with these things just as much as needed. Yavad arthas chaloke, as much as needed. Otherwise, start detaching, start preparing, start hearing Krishna Katha 24/7. And that's how one can reach the status of becoming a Dhira and then a Narottam. So this was my real reflection like this. Another thing, Mataji, I was suggesting also, Prithvilasini Mataji, that, there is going to be MCQs at the end of this canto.
Yeah.
And, there are so many MCQs which come to my mind when I, just like these 5 characteristics of Yudhishthira Maharaj, like that, So what I was suggesting, whether this is applicable, practical, I don't know. But in my classes where I teach somewhere, when I give them some hint, that this is likely to be an MCQ question. So that's how they put more attention at that, mark it like important.
Yeah, I agree what you're saying, and probably I'll push forward your request. But right now, even we teachers also don't know what the MCQs will be. They have already set, and it will be checked by the computers only. So everything is set, but definitely I'll address your point, because this point makes complete sense. Yes. Giving MCQs of 19 chapters at one shot, it's really
a lot of things to kind of
so that would be great, that even if teachers know what MCQs are, at least we can stress on that point, and you all can make notes out of it.
That's right. So, I was an instructor in some medical field, and first thing I met that people must be attracted to that kind of, retaining that, this is likely to be exam. Because everybody's goal is to pass exam, first of all.
Exactly.
And that's another tool by which one can retain some of these very fundamental principles of Bhakti Yoga. So that's what I was kind of suggesting.
Sure, Prabhu. From next time onwards, I know 12, 13 chapters are almost done.
Right,
So
right.
let's see in future we can make it.
We can do like. I was talking to Kanai Krishnadas Prabhuji also the other day. We had a meeting at Deland.
Yeah, I know.
Like that. And I suggested this to him also. He said that that's a good idea. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. And as you were saying that how you were quoting that verse by Rishabdev Maharaj and saying that at the fag end of life, one should be very careful. So I was reflecting that, Prabhu, it's not, this Kala can attack us anytime. It's not at the age of 70, it can be at the age of 7, 17.
Yes, that's very true.
There is no limit. So every day we have to be very, very careful because every night is like a death. Every night is like a death. We don't know whether tomorrow we'll wake up or not.
That's right.
So yes, that instruction is not only for you, but for all of us, for all ages, all ages, that we have to be Krishna consciousness all the time.
All the time, yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your wonderful association and your wonderful realizations also.
Thank you much. Haribol.
Thank you, dear devotees. If we don't have any other further question, I can see one question on the chat for which I don't have the answer for. And the question is that who was Parikshit Maharaj in his past life? So I have no idea. Preeti Vilasni Mataji, do you know this answer? Since she is on the call.
No idea.
No idea. So I'm so sorry, whosoever Naveen Prabhu has asked this question. We don't know the answer, but if we find, then we'll get back to you. But right now, please understand that Parikshit Maharaj is a Mahabhagavad devotee of the Supreme Lord, very pure devotee, and definitely he's from the spiritual world. But who was he in the past life? No idea. But we'll get back to you if we get an answer to it. Okay, so thank you all so much. Thank you for your wonderful, wonderful association. Your association inspires all of us, all teachers to be on the call to speak Krishna Katha and also purifying us also. So this Krishna Katha is purifying us, and it is all because of all of your association that you patiently come, you patiently listen, and that inspires us also to speak. So thank you all so much. We'll stop here now. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaivacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow there will be no class. We'll see you all on Monday, same time. Hare Krishna.
Hey.